Have you ever questioned how a tiny island, no bigger than a small city, could change the course of one of the most devastating wars in history? Imagine an island so strategically vital that it persisted one of the most relentless bombing campaigns in records, all whilst its humans clung to prey and survival. This is the story of Malta, a tale of courage, resilience, and an unbreakable spirit underneath siege. In the midst of World War II, Malta stood as the important outpost inside the Mediterranean, a thorn in the aspect of the Axis powers, and a beacon of wish for the Allies. But what became it want to live through the one's days of constant bombardment? How did the Maltese humans live to tell the tale? And what impact did their endurance have at the path of the struggle? In this video, we're not simply going to recount the ancient activities. We're going to delve into the private testimonies of folks that lived via the siege. We'll uncover the psychological battles that have been fought along the bodily ones, and discover how the propaganda warfare becomes simply as fierce because the air raids overhead. Stay with us as we take you on an adventure via one of the most extreme and lesser recognized chapters of World War II. By the cease of this video, you may now not only understand the significance of the Siege of Malta, however also advantage a deeper appreciation for the indomitable spirit of its people. So buckle up and get prepared to discover the story of Malta underneath siege, a tale that fashioned records and methods you may by no means have imagined. To truly apprehend the importance of Malta in the course of World War II, we need to step returned and look at the island's strategic role within the Mediterranean. Nestled among Europe and North Africa, Malta became more than only a dot at the map. It became a critical lifeline. Whoever managed Malta could dominate the central Mediterranean, cutting off supply routes and gaining a giant gain inside the battle. Before the conflict, Malta was a peaceful British colony, recognized for its rich records and colorful way of life. But with the outbreak of World War II, the island's fate was about to trade dramatically. As Italy and Germany looked to make bigger their have an impact on throughout Europe and North Africa, Malta became a high goal. The island's airfields, harbors, and fortifications have been essential for launching attacks in opposition to the Axis powers, making it a key factor of rivalry. As the conflict improved, the Axis powers fast identified the risk Malta posed to their operations. The island's area allowed the Allies to launch air and naval assaults in opposition to Axis convoys, seriously disrupting their supply strains to North Africa. For the Axis, Malta have become a thorn in their aspect, one that had to be eliminated at all costs. The first signs and symptoms of the storm to return have been the early air raids that started in June 1940. The Maltese human beings, familiar with the lifestyles of peace, abruptly found themselves below assault. The first bombs fell, and with them, the belief that existence in this small island would in no way be the same. The Siege of Malta had started, and the island's defenders braced themselves for what would turn out to be a war of survival. As the months dragged on, the Siege of Malta intensified to a degree few should have anticipated. The Axis powers unleashed a relentless bombing campaign that would see the island endure a number of the heaviest sustained aerial bombardments of the entire war. Between 1940 and 1942, extra than 3,000 air raids might rain down on Malta, turning it into one of the most closely bombed locations on this planet. The scale of the destruction changed into inconceivable. Buildings crumbled, complete neighborhoods had been decreased to rubble, and the once bustling streets of Malta's towns had become silent, shattered landscapes. For the Maltese people, existence had become a day-by-day struggle for survival. They sought shelter in makeshift shelters, frequently deep underground, because the bombs fell round them. Yet, despite the devastation, the spirit of the Maltese humans remained unbroken. Personal testimonies from survivors reveal a network that, even inside the face of unattainable horror, refused to surrender. One such story is that of Maria, a young lady who, in spite of losing her home and several circle of relatives participants, discovered the electricity to volunteer as a nurse, tending to the wounded and comforting the deaf. Her story, like such a lot of others, is a testament to the resilience and braveness that defined the Maltese enjoy at some stage in the siege. But the siege wasn't just a bodily war, it became a mental one as properly. The consistent risk of loss of life from above took a toll on the minds of the island's population. Fear and anxiety have become regular partners. However, so too did a fierce determination to undergo. The Maltese human beings, knowing that their island's fate could tip the balance of the whole war, dug deep into their reserves of energy, refusing to permit the Axis powers destroy their spirit. While bombs exploded and buildings crumbled, every other, extra insidious warfare was being waged on the psychological front. Propaganda have become a powerful tool in the Siege of Malta, used by both the Axis and Allied powers to persuade the morale of the island's inhabitants and soldiers. It became a conflict of words and pictures, designed to sway minds and weaken the clear-up of the enemy. The Axis powers, mainly the Germans and Italians, were relentless of their efforts to break the spirit of the Maltese human beings. They dropped leaflets from the sky, urging the populace to surrender, painting the British as oppressors who had abandoned them. The messages were clean. Resistance changed into futile, and surrender was the best way to live to tell the tale. But these attempts at psychological struggle often had the other impact. Instead of breaking morale, they steeled the Maltese human beings' resolve, uniting them in opposition to a not unusual enemy. On the alternative facet, the British additionally employed propaganda to maintain the morale of the Maltese and their own troops stationed at the island. Radio declares, newspapers and posters portrayed the islanders as heroes, status robust in opposition to the would possibly of the Axis. The narrative turned into one among resilience and defiance, a story that stimulated no longer simply the Maltese, however humans, throughout the Allied international locations. The George Cross, provided to the entire population of Malta by using King George VI, have become a symbol of their courage and sacrifice, similarly boosting morale. Comparing the Siege of Malta to other well-known sieges in history reveals just how specific this conflict became. Unlike conventional sieges, wherein partitions and fortifications have been the primary defenses, Malta's protection relied on the spirit and willpower of its people. The steady air raids and psychological strain made it a warfare of patience, in which the thoughts turned into as lots of battleground as the streets and skies above. To reflect on the Siege of Malta, it's not possible now not to marvel. What if matters had turned out otherwise? What if Malta had fallen to the Axis powers? The consequences could have been profound, changing the direction of World War II in ways that could have changed records as we understand it. Had Malta succumbed to the relentless bombing and mental pressure, the Axis powers would have gained an essential foothold in the Mediterranean. With Malta in their manipulate, the Axis should have more efficaciously supplied their forces in North Africa, probably turning the tide in battles like El Alamein. Rommel's Afrika Corps, reinforced by means of uninterrupted deliver strains, would possibly have driven deeper into Egypt, threatening the Suez Canal and reducing off a critical Allied direction. Moreover, the fall of Malta could have been a devastating blow to Allied morale. The island's resistance had become a symbol of hope and defiance, not just for the Maltese but for all who opposed the Axis. Its fall might have demoralized the Allied nations and emboldened the Axis, main to greater aggressive campaigns somewhere else. But perhaps the most exciting what-if situation lies in the lengthy time period implications. If the Axis had controlled the Mediterranean, the stability of power inside the place could have shifted dramatically. The Allied invasion of Italy, which started in 1943, might have been behind schedule or even thwarted, prolonging the struggle and leading to even more loss of existence. These hypothetical scenarios underscore the crucial function Malta played in World War II. The island's survival wasn't only a count of nearby importance, it was a pivotal second in the broader struggle, one which helped shape the final results of the war. The end of the Siege of Malta marked not simply the survival of an island, however, the beginning of a profound transformation for its people and their identity. The scars left by means of the relentless bombing had been now not just bodily, they have been deeply etched into the collective reminiscence of the Maltese, shaping the island's cultural and social panorama for generations to come back. In the aftermath of the siege, Malta confronted the daunting undertaking of rebuilding. The destruction was giant. Complete neighborhoods were flattened, and much of the island's infrastructure became in ruins. But from this devastation emerged a renewed sense of solidarity and reason. The Maltese human beings, who had persevered so much together, now turned their collective power in the direction of rebuilding their houses and lives. The reconstruction efforts, supported via the British government and worldwide useful resource, symbolized now, not simply bodily recovery, however additionally a rebirth of the island's identity. Culturally, the siege became a defining bankruptcy in Malta's history. The memories of courage and resilience were surpassed down through generations, turning into a source of pride and national identity. Monuments and memorials had been erected to honor the fallen, and the George Cross, offered to the entire population, became a cherished image of the island's indomitable spirit. Today, the pass is proudly displayed on Malta's countrywide flag, a reminder of the courage that carried the country via its darkest hours. The siege also had an enduring impact on Malta's function within the international. The island's strategic significance changed into reaffirmed, and it persevered to play a key role within the Mediterranean in the course of the Cold War and past. But possibly greater importantly, the experiences of these darkened years solid a deep connection between Malta and its allies, particularly the United Kingdom. This relationship, rooted in shared sacrifice, maintains to steer Malta's region on the worldwide degree. For the Maltese humans, the legacy of the siege is a complicated one. It is a story of pain and loss, however additionally of resilience and triumph. The classes found out for the duration of those years of conflict were woven into the cloth of Maltese society, shaping its values and outlook. As the island moves forward, the memory of the siege serves as both a cautionary story and a supply of concept, reminding the sector of the electricity of the human spirit inside the face of inconceivable adversity. As we come to the cease of this adventure through the Siege of Malta, we've uncovered a tale of remarkable resilience, in which a small island and its human beings stood organization against overwhelming odds. The Siege of Malta wasn't only a conflict of army strategy, it changed into a take a look at of human endurance, courage, and the need to survive. Through non-public memories of survival, we've glimpsed the human facet of this historic event. Everyday people who became heroes in the face of relentless threat. We've explored the psychological struggle waged through propaganda, the capability exchange history had Malta fallen, and the long-lasting impact the siege has had on Malta's cultural and national identification. The Siege of Malta may be a lesser acknowledged bankruptcy of World War II, but its importance cannot be overstated. It serves as the effective reminder of ways a small, determined population can trade the path of records. The Maltese humans' unwavering spirit in the course of the one's dark days remains a testimony to the electricity of human resilience. But as we replicate in this first-rate tale of survival, we're left with a lingering question. Could there be extra to the Siege of Malta than history has discovered? Were there choices made at the back of closed doorways, alliances solid in mystery, or occasions that never made it into the official records? What different hidden testimonies of struggle, resilience, and sacrifice would possibly still lie buried below the sands of time, ready to be exposed? Thank you for becoming a member of us on this exploration of Malta underneath siege. If this story moved you, if it sparked a new understanding or appreciation for the beyond, we invite you to percentage this video. Go away your thoughts within the remarks, and enroll in our channel for greater deep dives into the moments which have shaped our world. Until next time, recollect that history isn't pretty much the past. It's the effective lens via which we can recognize our gift and future.